Welcome, everybody. This is the last of four family diplomacy issue presentations from Learning Life. Today we're going to hear from two of our family diplomats, one from Eric Kajinija, who is joining us from Burundi, and who will be showing a presentation that he's prepared in advance on poverty and its impacts in Burundi. And following that, we're going to be hearing from Fatima Shah, who is one of our family diplomats in Pakistan. And she likewise has prepared a presentation, so we'll play that. And so each of these presentations are about 15 minutes or less in length, and we will follow that up with discussion. So you are encouraged during the presentations to write comments and questions in the Zoom chat. And then we will follow up with that with about 20 minutes of discussion based upon what you write in the Zoom chat, but we'll encourage you to speak your comments during the discussion to provide them feedback, but also to ask questions to them about their presentations. Um, and this is part of a series that we did this year of family diplomat presentations on family issues. And that series started in August of this year with Begum Burak, who spoke about war, and particularly war in Syria and its impacts in terms of the refugee crisis that resulted and its impacts on Turkey. And Abdul, who joined us from Ghana, one of our family diplomats from Ghana, who spoke about poverty and its impacts on families. In September, we had Juliana from Brazil talk with us about rural poverty in Brazil, and Mulba from Liberia talk about the civil war there and its lasting legacy and impact on families in Liberia. In October, we had Nusrat from Bangladesh talk with us about about climate change and its impacts on families. And Chia from Cameroon, who spoke with us about the Civil War, the kind of low boiling civil war there, and its continuing impacts on families, including his. And lastly, Joshua from Uganda, who talked about poverty and its impacts on families. So this today kind of concludes that series, and we will have more discussions, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of this meeting about the discussions that are planned for 2025 as we continue to expand the Family Diplomacy Initiative. Um, but just to remind you, for those of you who may be new to this, I don't think any of you are exactly new to this, but we are recording this, and so it is going to be showing up on YouTube, and some people watch there. But this is part of Learning Life's Family Diplomacy Initiative, and the Family Diplomacy Initiative is a long-term effort to empower families across the world to take part in policy making on issues that impact them. So we continue that work in the coming year. Okay, so without further ado, we are going to play Eric's video presentation, and then we'll follow that up with discussion. And then we'll listen to Fatima's discussion, and then we'll have Fatima's presentation, and we'll have a discussion around that. So hold on. And let me share my screen. So I don't believe that Eric has, FYI, access, whereas to PowerPoint for making slides. So his presentation is strictly him speaking to the camera and sometimes reading his notes. And his English is he does his best at his English, but you may have to listen carefully to hear through his accent. But bear with him if you would. Excuse me, hold on a second.
Hello everyone, my name is Eric from Burundi. Um, Today I'm going to present about poverty in Burundi and its impact
Oh, that may be
on
buffering.
families. Without further ado, let me get started. Burundi is an East African community member state. As many countries close to global, Burundi is experiencing an economic crisis due to COVID-19 pandemic and has become a global phenomenon and a major threat to the global economy. According to the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, as of 2023, Burundi holds the designation of the poorest country globally. Considering criteria such as money and the other indicator with equality of index, quality of life index at 36.55 and economic vulnerability of 38.7. According to World Bank statistic, only is one of the world's most impoverished countries, with just with 87% of population living its poverty measure of $1.90 per day. 2% of population remained in agriculture in Burundi, and the youth unemployment rate of about 65%. Despite of all the effort, so the vision of my country, the goals, so they have a self-reliant country by 2040 and wealthy country in 2060. That was the vision Burundi has today. And several poor families observed and numbers was elevated during the post-pandemic period that many countries are going through. In addition to this, Burundi experienced repeated civil wars here in Burundi to the time we got just independence in 1962 to 2015. Just we understand it's very high. Many families had regarding the basic necessities. In in 2023, poverty rate was estimated at 60% of population, just at $2.50 per day. This is a capital. This is what we call purchasing power parity, just in 2017. The provision of a basic public service does not meet the population. Does not meet the population's need, with only 48% of adolescents enrolled in secondary school and 30% of girls are out of school. Moreover, chronic malnutrition is well spread, with 55.8% of children under 5 and affected by stunting, and a figure like was by recent food inflation and food insecurity. And I believe some people are growing hopeless due to the civil war. People, they don't have, and also they are devoting their life to the street. So my country is losing workforce. The effect of civil war caused the countless consequences and they lead to the lack of hope. You understand? It's very difficult, and also political instability, mismanagement of natural and government resources, greed, and climate change all contribute to this milder dimension problem. So these days, it's hard to study universally, even though it's very cheap. It's very cheap here in Burundi because it's below $1,000 here in Burundi, but also it's very hard. It's very hard to study because, and also this happened to me when I finished the high school. Uh, if my parents paid for university, that means my brothers and sisters should stop the school. That was not good because the man that they use, they were going to use it for one child, and that we understand. I cannot tell it as firstborn son, and that's also the big problem. Um, University to study university, and instead of going for such money, so I also have a just initiative teaching people for free in English. Also, sometimes they like to say you're not good, so they say your mind is not flesh is not working as well. So I want just to help society because you understand because of the poverty here, uh, even the people they don't have a life, and where there is a poverty, also the Lord for land. You understand? It's Yeah, and I see my society needs more than my needs. I've already accepted all the pains, whatever they're going to talk, I don't care. That means no regret because I bring the light. So we will bring the light to the people. That's good. And there are many families I know that parents go to search money until they lost time to talk to their children, and also which is not good. And alas, that male children are not getting enough education like a long time ago. Female education has a big problem because the teachers, the salary is not good, doesn't meet with their needs. Also, uh, I like to talk. There are many teachers who just we are friends, and sometimes say, Eric, it's so hard to study today, to teach today, to do one job. So that means also to getting time for people preparing before teaching. Also, that is a big problem. Even though Burundi was the one of here in East Africa is known, the education here in Burundi, when you study university here in Burundi, um, they're respected. For example, Rwanda and Rwandan people from Rwanda come here to study university, and when they go back and they held that they studied the university in Burundi, they were respected because the University of Burundi was one of the best here. Even though this time I'm so glad that he's here, while from Congo, and many come from there and to study here because the University of Burundi is great. Is great, and also it was hard to pass. To pass when Burundi is the board is known very intelligent. Just to pass to Burundi was very, but nowadays the education has lost the favorite things change. And you understand it's a very big problem. It's a big problem. And its impact on families, there are also people at school, as there's what, first there's a school droppers. People, they don't go to study because the parents, they think instead of sending child who are hungry, they say stop and go to work. Sometimes they drop the school because of the hunger. The bubble is danger. And also, we can also name a lack of hope achieving big dreams. It's also one not a plan long-term project. When you have a hunger, you can think about the future. And the poverty blinds people not to see the opportunities that surrounds them, losing the capacity of having clear and bright thoughts. When you have a poverty, you can't just have a great thoughts, and that is a big problem. For instance, this country has big opportunities because where there are many problems, that means for entrepreneurs, they are it's good a place because the opportunities are the people who solve the problems. It means here we have a many opportunities than the other country, like more than uh, more than developing countries. Land and social conflict, land and social conflict. There are many misunderstandings and even crimes and are observed families because of hunger. In natural Burundians have a love towards each other and they are hospitable. This is hospitality. But when hunger enters the house, love and just love and a unity is kept for the waiters. That's what. So don't play with hunger. It's dangerous. And the visions on table, discrimination due to the family, income, poor to poor, and related to his friend. So there are here some solutions that just to overcome this poverty, the government of Brunei should organize solicitation complaints about urging people to networking in their daily activities. Leaders should restore the original of Burundi by raising people's awareness about the hospitality of citizens and hard work. Burundian of diaspora should know that they can do great things. They are a cornerstone for sustainable development of our motherland. Fight against any crime, any kind of discrimination, corruption, just to also have equal rights and justice for all. Teach our values everywhere we go. And also, this is one thing which is great to make Burundi we want. So even though we're passing through this hardship, we can make Burundi that we want. And I like what Mr. President said. We're not poor because also because when we have the mind that we are poor and also the statistic how the world shows we are poor, but when you hold this you say I'm poor and you accept that you're poor, that is hard to change your mindset. So things say I can change things, I can be valuable asset for my country, and I can be the great one in here in Burundi. So, and also there's a big problem because many people mentioned just escaping of helping their country, their motherland, they escape. Even though intelligent people we have here in Burundi, they walk abroad. So those are workforce for the country. So Burundi is facing with this, and this is not good. But also, we have just to be false-sighted because no one will build a country except us. We are the one to start to build a country. Yeah, of course, that's what I can say. And thanks you for hearing me out. Thank you for your time. And I do appreciate that's my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's talk about this. I recognize, so as I mentioned, Eric so clearly English is not his first language, but really appreciate him actually making this tremendous effort to speak English and to communicate what's going on in Burundi. So questions that you have. So we do have Eric with us. And Eric, I'm hoping that you can hear us. Are you able to hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So if you have questions or comments and feedback, we have about 20 minutes to give him. in terms of feedback on his presentation, but also questions that you may have based upon what you heard. So if you can do just as Begum just did, joining us from Turkey. Begum, it's great to see you. And yes, I owe you. You and I are supposed to be co-writing an article, and I haven't forgotten. And it will be by the end of this year. We'll hopefully have that completed. But if you could raise
Yes.
your hand electronically, just as Begum did. Go ahead, Begum.
Thank you so much. No worries, by the way. I'm sure that we will write it. Thank you so much in advance for letting me be a part of your journal. I will. I'm very excited about that. So, Eric, thank you so much for your video, and also you put some of the content on the chat box. I also followed from there. It's a very interesting. I'm sorry. It's a very interesting topic. So I want to ask you about your personal story. So I know that poverty is poverty is a very serious threat in most parts of the world, including my own country. I think many people in some periods of their time go through some problems related to financial concerns. So, do you have any interesting story that you know, or your neighbors or some other people lived uh, about these problems, like unemployment? Also, unemployment is a big problem for me as well, or other things related to the poverty in your country. Eric, thank you.
Eric, thanks, Begum.
Thanks.
Eric, do you want to speak to her question?
Yes, I would like just to speak about her question. Thank you for asking that question. Yes, Burundi, we have just financial problems, and this also leads us to the conflict, um, because in courts, many judges know there are there are many cases due to the problem of financial problems, because the heart rate has also increased to the level that I can tell you. Not just in Burundi, we have a saying which is called, well, where if you die, if you sleep with the hunger, know that you're gonna wake up with with a jealous. That's a saying here in Burundi we like to using, and also because also there are many lacks of the gas transport things so expensive, and also the families have also forget about just to be satisfied in their families, just to get the ration that can satisfy. Or I can tell you, I like to talk with my students. I ask, do you sometimes guys like miss to be satisfied, just to eat to the level that you said today I eat and I am satisfied. They like to say no, we miss it. So also it's a big problem here. Uh, we have because there is a shortage of gases. There is no gases here, and also that is one of the big problems that we have here. Thank you.
And if I may add to because we over time we get to know our family diplomats better and better, and it's always good to hear from Eric as I learn with every time that he presents more about him. But I think it's worth mentioning his story previously. Begum, you may not have had exposure to it, but and he alludes to this to some extent in the presentation today. But he he graduated from high school, tried to go to university, but unfortunately, there wasn't the money in his family for it. It would have required the sacrifice of his siblings' education. So he was not able to go, as I understand it, to university. Um, and he's instead teaching English, and he's teaching it free to people. And he's shown up, in fact, with some of his students to some of our meetings and previously. And so the struggle he has, as he has explained it in his own family, is that he is passionate about teaching English as a way to kind of empower people in his country with a language that's spoken across the world. and yet doesn't have the means to be able to get funding for that. And his parents are frustrated with him as the eldest son, because he's not bringing money to the family, and when the family desperately needs money. So that's, I think, to give you some context on his story. Eric, correct me if I'm wrong on any of that. Is that correct?
Yes, you are right.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Chia, who's joining us from United Arab Emirates, but is from Cameroon, actually spoke at our last meeting about the civil war in Cameroon, and its impact on his family and why he's in United Arab Emirates. Chia, your thoughts?
Thank you for giving me the chance. Mr. Eric, thank you. Love your presentation. Just that I have to squeeze myself with my ears standing to understand exactly, understand every little thing you are saying. And Eric, I just want to ask you, you do mention about hopelessness because of war. Do you guys have war in your country as well? And also the second question I have is that yeah, you make a statement that it make me really I feel like like you said, don't play with hunger. Hunger is not good, actually. Yeah. What about the royal areas like farm to market road? Are they accessible? Like farmers can easily bring their food to the marketplace. So how is it like?
Thanks, Chair, for asking those questions. Good question. Yeah, the first one you said, is there a civil wars in your country? Actually, from the time we got the independence here in Burundi, it was in 1962, and there was a civil wars due to the bad policy. Because the bad policy, as I say here, there was political, there was instability there, and because there were manifestation to in 2015 was a manifestation because they also tried just to make a coup for our president, uh, for our former president, and also due to that was the civil war starting. And also the problem was the youth. They use youth in manifestation because they trick them, because they don't have they were hungry and they give money just to go to manifest. So they go in capital city in Bujumbura just for manifestation. And also the things were destroyed to the river. I can tell because also many youth died there in that civil wars. And also there are some pictures on the Googles. Yeah, that was bad because the youth were tricked by bad politicians. Uh, they can change things by tricking them, doing something wrong. That was not neat. And also, you said about the farmers. What I can say, the farmers they have just access to the markets. Burundi is trying just to prepare itself because uh, due to those civil wars, we make step up in development. Also, money here lost it's not has value as it used to have because it was above shillings, Ugandan shillings. Here in East African, we were there because we have many things we export, we import. Like we have a great things we take abroad, like coffee, which is has a flavor than the other coffee, the other coffee here in East African community. Yeah, but because of those civil wars, because the people didn't wish that they didn't think that they can do something that we can last forever. Because they can't think even though in a project that which will take long-term projects because they know that maybe in 10 years they're going to be at war again, they're going to destroy my things. So even though the people, instead of nursing here some projects, so they prefer to go outside of the country and live there and do their business there.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, Eric, I think that's really important is, the sense of like perpetual instability, political instability in especially as different competing factions try to control government for their own benefit, means that people don't feel like they have a stable system in which to work and thrive. And so they, as you pointed out, are leaving the country. Some of the brightest people go abroad. Of course, I'm sure you guys are aware, a lot of people try to when they go abroad and they get jobs, they send money back to their country, but still the country's impoverished by the fact that people are leaving due to the instability. Um, Riley, who's one of our interns joining us from the USA.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to also say I really appreciated your last your closing statement about like if your mindset's poor, then you are poor, and changing that mindset and just the way it's framed, I thought was really important. I appreciate it. And I was also curious too, like when you were talking about university, if that's like a universal experience of like only one of families not being or only one kid being able to get sent to university, or that's a universal experience in your country. And then also too, like after Paul's explanation too, I was just curious if there's like a lot of people end up resorting to teaching English in your country too, if that's a large population and how that looks.
Eric? Oh, Eric may be having connection.
Hey,
Go ahead.
hello. I didn't get her very well. I don't know if it's a problem of my connection.
We can hear
I
you now.
didn't get it. Uh, I didn't get her what you were saying.
Briefly, Riley, do you want to reiterate your questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I appreciated your last statement about having a poor mindset and how that feels. And then I was just asking, curious if it's like a universal experience of like only one kid being able to get sent to university or what that family dynamic looks like. And and then also if a lot of people end up resorting to teaching English in your country too.
Thank you. As I said there, here Burundi University is cheap and lower, but problem is because there is a lack of money. There's like there is a big number of the young people from most families are just I don't have just the power, the ability to send their children to school, but also when to study university, that they can finish the second or the high school, but to study university they stop it because they don't have the power to do it. Not because they don't want, but because their capacity, the amount that you can do it, and sometimes they prefer to go abroad. And I have it just in my corner. Many people are going abroad, just in our neighbors' countries. Like, it's not so far. Like in Kenya, people are going in Kenya, and sometimes going in countries of Arabics just for searching money because they don't have they don't have money to keep studying the university. So they go to prepare themselves if they can build their own families. Then they stop the schools there. And also English here is not a spoken uh, is and also is one of the best tools that it is that can help. It's very useful, but here and people they don't know much about English. So sometimes I like to go and help my brothers and sisters, and I'm so glad there are some of my students also went just to search for life. They went in Zambia for, and also went in Kenya. They know English. It facilitate them just to leave, and also that also when you know English, because there's also it increased the confidence, also the hope of if you can go there, maybe you can find it. Not find it here because you have the tools that you can use there. You can say, let me move there if I can find it. Thank you.
Mhm. So we have just a couple of minutes left because we need to turn to Fatima's presentation about gender-based violence in Pakistan. We'll try to get to Santi and Trevor's questions in the little time we have remaining. Go ahead, Santi.
Hi, Eric. I want to thank you very much for all the effort that you put into preparing this. I also thought you spoke very clearly. And my question is surrounding a topic that we were speaking about that Paul also touched upon. And it's about the intelligent people and the people with high skills moving abroad from Burundi. Do you think that it's one of the most important issues? And do you think that there's any possible incentives that would keep those types of workers and those types of people in Burundi?
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Yes, because many people, and I can say because this lasts for a long time, people now they are not patriotists. When they go in abroad and they find the comfortable jobs, the good job there, and those are also the people like to get those opportunities to go there abroad when they go just for studying. Very intelligent people we have, they can build or their workforce for the country. They don't come back just to build their country because they feel the insecurity is there. There's a war, so they they don't have the heart to come back. Sometimes they keep uh they went there and stay there where they went. Uh, Also, there are people who can just bring us the things that can change. There are those people who can uh be valuable asset for our country, but sometimes it is very hard to come back because the bad policy, they know that it's gonna be worse. Yeah, things like that. And sometimes this is it's not good. And also, and I think, but these days from the last civil wars, because now it's gonna be 10 years without civil war. I think now they start just to organize themselves like. Diaspora people, they will go there to work abroad so that they can build their country, and they start to organize themselves. But also we still have a long time to go.
Mm.
Thank you.
Trevor, did you still have a question?
Yeah, mine was kind of two-part. The first, Santi touched on, but the second, I was going to ask, we touched, or Paul, you made the quick comment of that there was like a little family dispute on the about the path that he was taking, and I was wondering, is that kind of like a common thing that's felt within your area? Like, if you're taking a non-traditional career path, is there more like scrutiny, or kind of just like a bad view that's put towards that?
Oh gosh, I'm now listening careful.
What's that?
Hello.
Eric, you can't understand, or Trevor, do you want to repeat your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the relation that you have with your family, is that a common thing for people that take a path that you're taking?
In other words, I'm trying to get clear on your question. Is it common to have a conflict between the oldest child and the parents if the child goes and is not able to find work and does volunteer work? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, is it just mean like the not like a non-traditional like a job or a role?
Mm.
Yeah, what I can say about that, it is uh, because youth here they like to say what the life we have today is our fathers' mistakes or their work is their works, the what they did in the past, and sometimes they like to regret about this. They say because we are passing the hardship, why didn't our forefathers didn't look so far and didn't look so far about didn't think about their grandchild, and also this is a big problem. But no more when we will, for example, if I say because I'm going to say according to the place where I live, people they like to say there is no other way. We have to accept. We have to accept the music. We have to face the music. Nothing we can do just to accept that. But during the portion inheritance, there are some conflicts there, because sometimes when a child they also because they even youth they these days they don't have a heart to stay here and build our country. They think they want to go abroad, and also that it's going to take money, and also they ask for their families, they go back to their parents to say, I need my portion, I need my inheritance, just to sell it so that I can find a ticket. And sometimes their father said no. That's some conflict, and also sometimes because of the bad lives, as I said, no, it's not good to pray with the hunger, because the hunger is dangerous, and sometimes youth have sometimes there are some cases youth killed their parents because they want to get the money to find a ticket to go, because they don't think here there's a life. That is those are conflict, and sometimes they make some poison. They use some poison, things like that, and also because also the parents they are they're not comfortable these days, because when their sons, especially for the boys, when they grow up, they think the battle is going to start, but it's for the people who lives just who lives in poor families. Yeah.
Mm. Wow. Eric, thanks for
Thank
giving
you.
us, I think, a much richer sense of the situation of poverty in Burundi and its impacts. Pretty powerful stuff, and it's
Yeah, thank you.
good to know more about what's happening with you and your situation as well, and your family situation. We're going to switch to Fatima
Thank you.
Shah, who is joining us from Burundi. But before we actually turn to her presentation, I'd like to take a photo of everybody, as we usually do. So if you can turn on your cameras, and on three, I will take a photo. So Walter, Paula, I'm assuming you're listening, Maria, Ansad, et cetera, and so forth. Please turn on your cameras. Uh, Hold on a second as I position the screenshot. And Ellen, I'm assuming you're likewise paying attention, and if Elena's with us, and taking screenshots. On three, if you can smile. One, two, three, smile. And let me take another shot just in case. Hold on a second. On three. One, two, three, smile. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. All right. I am going to turn to Fatima's presentation on gender-based violence in Pakistan. She does have, just so you know, she has slides, and there's audio that goes along with the slides.
Hello everyone, this is Fatma Shah from Pakistan. I'm working as a training specialist and working with different international organizations for women empowerment through education and skills. I want to talk about GBV today, which is gender-based violence. Let's understand what is GBV. Any harmful act or threat based on their actual or apparent sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, which result in physical, sexual, psychological harm or sufferings, including threats, pressures, or deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or private life, is gender-based violence or GBV. First of all, we have to understand that what is the difference between sex and gender. If we talk about sex, it refers to biological and physical characteristics that define man and woman. Whether gender is the role and responsibilities assigned by the culture or society. It's the social differences between males and female, and it determines the role, responsibilities, opportunities, privileges, and limitations for males, females, according to their own cultures. And definitely, I'm from Pakistan and I belong to KP province, so I will be talking about Pakistan, particularly about KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So, gender based violence involves the abuse of power, as KP is the male dominant society, so definitely abuse of power is mostly related to men. It violates the human rights. It includes some type of force, including threats or pressures, and results in harm and different kinds of harms, which we will be seeing in the next slides. So the types of and the forms of violences are physical, sexual, emotional, and socio-economic. If I talk about physical violences, hitting, beating, cutting, slapping, choking, honor killing, and acid throwing, it comes with in physical violences, and especially honor killing and acid throwing is very common in KP and other provinces too in Pakistan. Sexual violence is rape, sexual assaultation, exploitation, trafficking, forced marriages, and child marriages, again, which is very common in KP and other provinces in Pakistan. Emotional violence is forcing without consent, threats, insults, denials, and deprivations, degrading comments, etc. In socio-economics, violences are denials of opportunities like denials of education, denial of work or job, denial of health services, etc. And I mostly work for these kind of against these kind of violences in rural and tough areas, and to avoid these kind of some circumstances. And let's talk about the root causes of gender-based violence. It's gender inequality for sure, abuse of power, and societal acceptance of power, which is very common. And unfortunately, like whenever it happens, the society and family says it's okay if it happens. You shouldn't raise your voice against it. You should be quiet, quiet, quiet. So this is the common thing in our society. So that's why mostly cases are not even reported, and definitely lack of respect of human rights. It's also a root cause of gender-based violence. It's a serious issue in Pakistan, as nearly half of women victims of GBV never sought any kind of help or justice due to family and societal pressures and lack of accountability. Root cause of GBV in Pakistan is a male dominant and male controlled societal structures where women are considered inferior and viewed as a property of a male. So that's why the command of the female life is always in the hands of a male. Almost 26 to 28,000 GBV cases reported in 2019 and 2020 respectively. If we talk about different provinces of Pakistan, more than 19,000 GBV cases were reported in Punjab and 1,548 in KP. It doesn't mean that there are less cases of GBV in KP, but the women of KP is always live like a cage kind of thing in houses. They are not allowed to go out of home. That's why such cases are not reported. But in Punjab, the culture is different. That's why women go out and report such cases. And this is the data of other provinces too. Violence against women in Pakistan, particularly intimate partner violence and sexual violence, is a major problem. A violation of women's rights in Pakistan is associated with mainly by forced marriages and through workplace harassment, honor killing, acid throwing, and by domestic violence. We will understand what is honor killing in the next slide as well. So let's understand what is honor killing. That might be a new term for you people. An honor killing is the murder of a member of the family due to belief that the victim has brought dishonor upon the family or community. Human rights defenders estimated that around 1,000 women are murdered in the name of honor every year, unfortunately. This is the picture of Kandil Baloch, who was a struggling model, and she was brutally murdered by her brother because he believed that she brought dishonor to the family. Transgenders are also victim of gender-based violence. Between 2015 to 2020, 68 transgender people were murdered in the province of KP, and in 2018 alone, 479 transgender women were attacked in the province. And one of the transgender, which was very popular in KP, was Ayan Dolphin. He was studying in the very prominent college of KP, Peshawar, and he was a brilliant student, but he was bullied in student life, stigmatized, harassed, had murder attempts, and recently his nude videos and pictures were made by force. Unfortunately, it's also a very unfortunate incident happened recently. And the most common GBV in Pakistan is domestic violence. Let's talk about it. Despite strict laws and social awareness, domestic violence is dominant in Pakistan at an alarming rate. Almost 1 in 3 Pakistani women report facing domestic physical violence by partner, in-laws, and in some cases, yes, by their own families. This is the recent incident happened with a famous actress, Nargis. You can see the pictures. She was brutally beaten by the husband over the minor issues. And she is also a very empowered and a confident lady. A famous anchor, Aisha Janzeb, was also abused of physical violence by her husband. And I want to say that it's not associated, that domestic violence is not associated with any class. Even the empowered women, even the higher class women are becoming victim of domestic violence. And the support from Pakistani government system is 3 main types of support: shelters, Darul Aman, violence against women centers, and Shaheed Benazir Bhutto crisis centers, which are 26 in numbers in Pakistan. And NGOs and trusts also work for such noble cause and to help them, and toll-free helplines. And they provide safe accommodation, medical treatment, counseling, therapies, economic opportunities, legal assistance, long-term housing support. But the question is, are a few such supports enough to eradicate gender-based violence in the society? Let's think about it. How can families help to prevent or eliminate gender-based violence? Let me share a beautiful story with you. This is my picture with my beloved late father who passed away a few months ago. He was my mentor, my best friend, and my backbone. He is the person who helped me to become a survivor than a victim of domestic violence. Let me share my story that due to a joint family system and, of course, unfortunately, a careless husband, I had become a victim of mental, emotional, and yes, a physical abuse of domestic violence. And that abuses led me to severe illness and severe depression. And I used to feel very helpless as divorce is a stigma in our society. And I was not having courage to get divorced. I was thinking about another option, but when you go for the option of divorce, it multiplies your problem by living in this society where divorced women can't get respect and it's still a taboo. So, in such circumstances, my father supported me, encouraged me to continue my studies and become empowered. I did my master's, followed by my MPhil. I was earning, and he helped me even to build my own house. I chose a career as a trainer where I always get a chance to work in heart of rural areas to spread awareness about empowering their daughters through skills and education, as I believe that empowerment of a woman is the only solution to avoid gender-based violence. I'm still living with that spouse, but I feel empowered now. I don't feel I don't have pity feelings anymore because I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. My father didn't cut my wings, but he used to tell me how to fly, and he used to tell me that sky is the limit for me. I'm known as an independent woman of KP. I'm interviewed on TV. I used to call by different platforms as a motivational speaker. And there are my pictures where I'm educating the communities, the tough communities. I'm working with them. I'm giving trainings on different things. And this is my work, which I do for the society. And at the end, I must say that your story doesn't end with abuse, it begins with survival. But it is only possible with the support of the family. I'm so grateful to my father, and I want to give him a tribute through this presentation that he was the one who changed my life. And I always encourage communities to help their daughters to make them empowered through skills and through education. And only that way we can eradicate and eliminate gender-based violence. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Fatima, for what was a really well done presentation. Your questions, by all means, raise your hands and digitally to signal if you'd like to ask a question or provide some feedback on the presentation and or both. Chia from Cameroon.
Thank you, Paul, for giving me the chance. Fatima, thank you so much for your presentation. I really feel emotional with your presentation. Like, It was so emotional. But Fatima, I want to ask you just two questions. Like the first one, I just want to know um like the forced marriage, it come from your parents, like forcing you to get married to someone you don't want, or at the age you don't want, or how does the forced marriage work? The second one is when you encounter these situations rape, or you don't have anywhere to you where can you have help, because you do mention that there is no help in this situation. It means that people are just free to do what they want to do, and if this is the case, it's dangerous. This is not a good sign. And what can be the solution for this situation? Thank you so much.
Fatima?
Thank you so much, yeah, for your questions. Um, in our society, yes, it also becomes, a pressure when somebody is not getting married. People used to ask why you are still unmarried. It's also becoming a big question for parents. So definitely, when I was studying, I have done my LLB at that time, and I was working as a practicing lawyer. I just had started my field, and at that time, because of the family pressure, I um accepted the proposal. So that was the case, and usually it happens. Arranged marriages are very common in our society, though the trend is changing now, but at my time, before 15 years, definitely it was the trend. And Chia, if you repeat the second question, please.
Yeah, the second question is just, I'm just trying to know, like you said, actually, you do mention there is no help. I want to say, if there is no way you can seek help regarding the rape and all this forced violence, if there is no help, then the situation is not a good one. And what are they doing to see that these things are not happening anymore?
Yeah, this is very important question. In our society, whenever we feel something different, like something uncomfortable, our mothers have raised us the way that they always ask us to be quiet, never talk about your discomforts. And if somebody talks about it, that person becomes, an enemy in our society. Like my father, we are five sisters, and three of us are MPhil. So my father has taken the step, and initially people were talking bad about my father. That why he's spending money on girls, like he shouldn't be spending money on girls. So sometimes, like we are raised that way that we cannot raise our voices for our rights, for our basic rights. Like we people, my family is very educated because of my father, but usually whenever I go to rural areas or some urban areas as well, people are conservative. They even don't let their daughters talk about anything. If they stop them going from to pursue college education, their girls finally stops. They never ask. They cry, and they at the end they cry and stop. They never say anything. So, in some cases, people are rebellious, like the way I have mentioned in honor killing segment, that one of the person who was a struggling model, and she was killed by the brother. So, because like she was rebellious, and she left the family and went to the media. And after a year or so, whenever the brother got a chance, he murdered her. So this is the case. And the second thing, people talk bad about you then. They don't accept you as a family member if you raise your voice for your rights. Like initially, when I started talking about my discomforts and the problems I was facing initially in my family after marriage. So my sister stopped me that you shouldn't talk about it. And in our society, like I'm still living with that husband, though he has improved a lot, but even then I'm not comfortable with him. But I even cannot think about the divorce because like it's a stigma. I will lose all my respect. So that's why I cannot take divorce here in Pakistan at least. So this is the thing. And many of girls, many of us are living the same life quietly and then pretend to be happy. They tell people they are very happy, but inside they are not because of the pressures of the society and family. The
Mm.
family doesn't give support to those girls. Like previously in one platform, I told people that they accept their dead daughters, but not divorced daughter. This is the stigma in our society. Gee, anything else?
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a couple of clarifications. What Fatima just said is they accept their dead daughters, but not their, I'm sorry, their dead daughters,
Divorced daughters.
but they're not their divorced daughters.
Yeah.
So they'd rather their daughters be dead than divorced.
Yeah, they cannot take pressures of the society because people ask why your daughter got divorced. She must be wrong. Like it's a common thinking. We are people of fixed mindsets. We think that whenever divorce happens, the problem would be in a woman. Nobody thinks about that the man can be wrong. So
And
this is the thing, and parents cannot take that pressures.
And just to clarify, when Fatima talks about MPhil, she's talking about Masters of Philosophy. So she has, I gather, you have four siblings who are all sisters, correct? And three of you have master's degrees. Is that correct?
Yeah, like we all are educated. My brother, only brother, and we are five sisters. We all are educated, but we three of us, three sisters, including myself, we got MPhil degree, which is higher degree, and it's not very common.
Mm.
So this
Yeah.
is the scenario.
Yep. Would love to hear from others of you who have not raised your hand. And so Haiti, uh, Juliana, Theo, Itai, who's joining us from Zimbabwe, Walt, Ansad. I'm not sure where exactly you're joining us from. Maria, who's from Uganda, but joining us from the United States, would love to hear from you. Tadiwa, who is likewise from Zimbabwe, would love to hear from you. Nusrat and Elena and Paula. I know that some of you have written comments in the Zoom chat, but it'd be great to hear your voices as well and your thoughts. Ansad, where are you joining us from, and do you have any thoughts?
Thank you, sir. I am Ansarullah from Peshawar, Pakistan, and I'm thankful to ma'am who represents our province and our culture as well. Here are the basic problem is gender-based violence, and the second thing is that our culture badly denotes like the female and the honor killing. And I really appreciate the main presentation, and thank you so much.
Hmm. It's difficult to hear you. It may be that you have headphones on, and so if you can remove the headphones, it might help for us to hear you better. But it sounds like you appreciate, if I'm understanding you correctly, Fatima's presentation, and it's good to hear you actually come from that area of Pakistan that she is talking about, as I understand it. Paula, go ahead.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was having some difficulty. I had the pleasure with working with Fatima before she presented, and I just wanted to say that her story was very compelling. I'm so sorry, and I wanted to extend the my condolences for the loss of your dad. I did write a comment, but I just wanted to ask a question. Basically, in your experience, what is the most impactful ways for individuals to help drive policy change that supports GBV supporters in Pakistan?
GBV again is gender-based violence, in case you're not clear what that is. Fatima?
Um, Paul, if you can repeat the question because the voice was very, not clear. If you
Sure.
can repeat the question, please.
So what Paula, to give some context, what Paula is asking is, what can individuals do, not just, and as you suggested, Fatima, it's support their, on a family level, support their family members who are trying to develop themselves, particularly women and girls in their families. So we get that, and that's really important. But Paula is asking about the ways you think in your country, in Pakistan, how can individuals try to influence policymaking, whether that's at the provincial level or at the national level?
Um, One of the slide has already shown about domestic violence that despite strict laws and social awareness, like, the system is there, the laws are there, but people are not following it. This is the unfortunate thing. In different cities, the circumstances are different. Like if I talk about KP, it's a different province than Punjab. Punjab is a bit, their women come out and they talk about everything. But in KP, they they keep their women in a cage kind of thing. They are not allowed. So, like the laws and everything is there, but it varies city to city or maybe province to province or place to place where the laws are followed and sometimes the laws are not followed. So this is the thing. Like if policies and everything is there, I don't say that there is some lacking in the policy, but the implementation is the problem.
Mm.
Our judiciary system is weak, our laws system is weak, like people are not following it, like the system is that weak. If you bribe someone, they will change their decision. So this is the thing, and whenever, like, it happened so many times that whenever, like, if it is a rape case, rape is the biggest thing, in our society. If somebody disclose that somebody has been raped and it comes in front, then the another party bribe police, bribe judiciary, and then justice doesn't come to her. So this is the thing, and at the end, they know that they won't get any justice. That's why they don't talk about it. Why this is important to come in front of the people and they talk about it, and then nothing happens at the end. So that's why, the problems we are facing. Otherwise, there is no lacking in the laws, but in implementation,
Mm.
for sure.
Mm. Um,
And and what I think, Paul, sorry to cut you off, what I think, like why I'm taking so much tough time, going to such tough areas is not easy. Like I remember when I was going to Torgar and Tira, which is a war zone, and it was, the area was under Taliban. So when I went there and I was talking about the adult literacy and about the middle tech, so, initially people were not appreciating me. That why you are talking about about our daughters. If you want to educate our children, then start from class one. Why you are talking about the adult girls? And then I talk to them that they are at home and they are also supposed to be educated. And then we opened the centers for adult literacy, like they are that conservative, they don't accept even to talk about their daughters. And I took the risk and I used to talk about it because, like, uh, I think that if I'm a privileged woman, I should know how to spread awareness, how to convince families. Even I have educated my maid, which she was working with me, and she never been to school, but I spent 6 months continuously with her and I educated her. So, I think if every person becomes a better person, and if we train our mind in growth mindsets, we are not becoming a fixed mind set people anymore, then the society will definitely be changed. If we see any divorce happening, then we don't, we don't talk bad about them, then the society will be changed.
Mm.
And especially if we educate our daughters, empower them through skills and through education, and then they will be able to talk, to recognize their rights, and then they will be able to talk about it. So
Mm.
this is my aim. This is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
The rest, there is no lacking in our laws, but the implementation is very weak. Our police system, our judiciary is very weak.
Yeah. So it sounds like advocating for education for girls and for women is really important to kind of increasing the power of women, their own kind of self-efficacy or self-empowerment. Um, so I want to, we only have about 10 minutes left, and I want to get to some other folks here because I mean, the advantage of doing these kinds of dialogues is not only are we hearing from different perspectives across the world, but we're hearing from ordinary people who are sometimes doing extraordinary things, and not from just experts and so on. And so that's part of what I love about this family diplomacy initiative. And so I would love to hear from some folks who have not spoken. Maria, who has her hand raised, and Riley, I see that your hand is raised likewise, but I'm trying to get to folks who haven't spoken as yet. So Maria, and then Nusrat and Begum, who are coming from different countries. So Maria from Uganda, Begum from Turkey, Nusrat from Bangladesh. It would be great to hear from you, your perspectives on this issue of gender-based violence. So go ahead, Maria. And
Thank
Juliana,
you very much. Oh,
I should
sorry.
also know, and Juliana from Brazil, if you're willing to also share, that would be great. Go ahead, Maria. Sorry.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Fatima, for your presentation. It's amazing. It was very emotional. Thank you for your great work. I have a very quick question. With this kind of work that you do, there's a lot of victim shaming, especially when people decide to stand up for their rights and stand up against all these atrocities. How are you protecting yourself? Because I see that you go into different areas, you're helping people. How are you protecting yourself from retaliation from family members? You mentioned the honor killings and all these different things. As a person, how do you protect yourself to know that you're fighting for these people, but at the end of the day, you also need to stay alive? Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. This is a very good question to be asked. I'm the one who was the victim of GBV, and then I was a survivor. So I can see the difference between both the lives. When I was the victim, I was unable to talk even. I was a painter, I was a writer, I used to sing in my college time, but at that time I was helpless. I couldn't write a word even. I have forgotten everything, every creativity because of the depression. Then, with the help of my father, of course, and few of my friends, um, they supported me and they brought me back to to become an empowered woman. Though it took my many years, but even then, I feel that the only thing which can change your life is empowerment through education or through skills. So the question of Maria is like how I protect myself. Definitely, people doesn't know my in-laws, and many people doesn't know that my story has been disclosed to everyone. I still pretend to be a happy woman. I still pretend that my husband is a very nice person, though I'm going through a lot, but I don't discuss it with everyone, but only my close friends knows. Second thing, how I protect when I talk about women empowerment, I work with different international organizations. So our life is ensured. They protect us, they take us, and then we work there in tough areas and we come back. So this is the way how we work. And but now, like especially after working with Paul and this amazing platform, I'm becoming very open to talk about it. I should not hide that I was in grief. I should not hide that I was not okay. and I encourage people to talk about it. So, like, I have seen both the lives, and I know that we should not be disappointed that everything has gone. No, everything becomes again a part of your life. I start painting, I start writing, I write articles about social issues, about kindness and how to be kind. So, everyone should know that talking about your discomfort is very important, and I encourage people. I do counseling free of cost. I do motivational speaking free of cost because, like, I know that this is something I will get reward. And if we heal others, it ultimately heals ourselves. This is what my belief is. So I spread this word to everyone, and in this way, I think the society will be changed.
Fatima, God bless you for what you do. Um, uh, Juliana from Brazil, Begum from Turkey, or or Nusrat from Bangladesh. It would be great to hear from you if you have any thoughts on what from your perspective from your respective countries.
I just want to say that was really, really impactful. And like Paul said, like hats off to you because that is beyond anything that I've heard.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor.
Thank you so much.
Obviously, Fatima, you're a woman of courage, and I'm glad that there are organizations, international organizations that are helping support your work. It's good to hear. Uh,
I just want to say like fighting for change while living in a situation that is what you're fighting for is unbelievable. I really do mean the highest respect to you. That is unbelievable.
yeah,
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Your
Juliana,
encouragement and feedback means a lot to me.
yeah, Juliana from Brazil.
Hello, hello, good afternoon. Just a quick commentary about here in Brazil, in my region. What happens a lot is that women don't go, they don't go to the police to report the violence. They share the situation, but unfortunately, they don't, finally, they can't get free from the situation. And we, friends and colleagues, uh, keep watching the situation happens, and we are like tight hands, unfortunately. And the numbers of the cases of violence keep um, uh, growing, unfortunately. But here is what we feel like tight hands because they know what they're going through, but don't finish the situation and go to report.
And why is that, Juliana? Why don't they report it?
Because of the circumstances, uh, for example, the time, some of them suffer like 5 or 10 years. Um, I guess it's they have no hope for the situation. Um, maybe I don't know exactly. I I guess hopeless. I feel terrible to can't be uh do more for them.
Hmm. And
I
you
pray for them.
and Juliana, you know personally some women who have experienced violence at home and have not reported it. Is that right? Or
Mm, no, people I know don't. Women, no, just in general, like in the news, on the
gotcha.
journal.
Okay.
I must say no.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting us know what's happening in Brazil. It sounds like there are women who are not reporting on the violence for whatever reasons. Nusrat from Bangladesh.
Hi. So I really loved her presentation because I feel like at the same time she was the victim, and that's why she can relate more. And she is also working, so I would say she's very brave and just sharing this story and how she's working, because not everyone can share these sort of stories, and especially when we have the societal pressure. And I can say like it's not only the scenario of Pakistan but also the scenario of South Asian, especially Bangladesh and India. And even in my family, I can remember when I was a kid, my mother, and she was the victim of domestic violence. And when my father was an immigrant, and at that moment the family members of my father, and they wanted all the money from my father without giving us. And we, even though we had the money enough, but we just survived like a poor family. So my aunt and the other family members, and they just snatched all the bank accounts, I mean the papers of the bank accounts from my mother. So I can just relate. But my mother, she was very patient at that moment. And the sister of my mother, I mean my aunt, and they just wanted to get out from this family. I mean they wanted to divorce, but my mother, she just always thought about my life, like what the society will tell us, and how the kid will grow, because at the same time it can give the negative impact of my life. So I can just relate when she was talking. So yeah, and even there are so many brutal stories here, gender-based violence, and the society, even some people, they even don't want to rent the flat to a single woman. So how brutal, I can say. So yeah, so that's the situation. And we can see this sort of incident in every week in newspaper. There are so many murders, people are just getting married, and just so many violences. Yeah.
So it's not just divorced women who are stigmatized, but single women who have never been married are likewise stigmatized, among other things, discriminated against for housing, as I understand.
Single women and also the single mother, and they even can't manage a home to, even they have money, even they are just working, they have identity, but the owner of the house, they don't want to rent the flat to that woman.
Wow. Well, so this was a really rich discussion, powerful discussion at times. Really appreciate the presentations. These series of discussions have been fantastic for giving us a sense of kind of the challenges that some of our family diplomats from across the world are facing, and what you guys are reporting on. So I want to remind you this is recorded. We will be posting this to YouTube. You can share it out to folks that you know, to let them know about who want to learn about what's happening in different parts of the world, and that will be continuing this next year. So the plan next year is to have 5 new dialogues focused on those 5 different issues that are having major impacts on families. And they are, again, war, poverty, climate change, gender-based violence, and the internet. So each dialogue will focus on one of those topics, and we will have new people as well. And we're trying to our best to get actual families, 2 or more members of families speaking on those issues. So you will hear more about this in this coming year. We will be, for those of you, so Juliana, Nusrat, and some of our other family diplomats, Fatima, and Chia, and Eric, and Abdul, we will be following up with you because we are need to do a post survey with you to make sure that to figure out how much you learned from these presentations. And then there are cash awards, up to 3 cash awards. It's not guaranteed 3, but up to 3 cash awards, depending on of $100 each for those of you who have learned a lot from these presentations over the last 4 months. So with that said, one other thing, we are going to have just a social time. We tend to talk about very serious topics. And before the end of the year, the plan is on December 8th, Sunday, December 8th, we're just going to bring people together to have a more kind of casual social time to talk to each other, learn a little bit about each other, and socialize. So look for that. And otherwise, I wish you a good rest of the year. Thanks to all of our family diplomats who contributed, and we'll see you soon on Facebook. And we'll be sharing photos in the video of this session. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good rest of your Sunday.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Paul.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.